Here's the tracks to that large buck I've been searching for. This is a bed down site. This is where that buck has been laying down. You can tell the direction the buck is going by not only the shape of the hoof, it comes to a V, but also it enters this way, and as he lifts, he's kicking up the snow to the side here and to the front. See how the snow is pushed forward? Here's a couple tips on deer tracks. Deer tracks tend to be heart-shaped. They're rounded on the outside edge. They kind of teardrop out, and then they're kind of straight on the inside edge. And once again, straight, teardropped out, like so. So you have a V pattern, but it's a heart shape. That's your deer track, a heart shaped, and this is going to give you the direction that they're going in. Okay? Now when a deer is running, or if it's in soft sand or in snow, sometimes they splay out in a pattern like this. And you'll have a couple marks behind them that are the dew claws. So it looks something like that. Now deer tracks tend to be about 3.5 inches long and 2¼ inches wide. A little more, a little less, depending on if it's a doe or a buck or how old it is. There's a couple clues on your deer tracks. Now there are some tracks that are similar. Goat tracks are kind of like this. They point backwards, alright? They have the same kind of hoof, but they splay out as if they were running, but they're not running. They're climbers. So their hooves kind of splay out a little bit. Still rounded in the back, but they have those toes pointed outward for climbing on uneven surfaces. Very efficient climbers. So don't get confused with the backwards pointing arrow on goats. Hogs, or feral hogs, which there are some near my area, but not directly there, they have a very similar hoof also, but the hog has a more rounded hoof and it's shorter. You're talking about 2.5 inches long probably. And like I said, it's more round than heart shaped. There are a couple tips, and a hog will also have the dew claws in the back very often. A couple tips when looking at tracks. Here's a bed down site. We had 4 deer laying in here. There's 1. There's 2. Back in here, there's 2 more. There's 3. And there's 4. I followed those tracks in this way. And here's where they came in. And we have, once again, 4 bed down sites. So this is those 2 does and the 2 yearlings. It's 1 bed down site, 2 bed down sites, 3 and 4. You can see they got up and went out this way. And off they go in this direction here, one behind the other. Okay, here between the hooves is a dark spot, and that's where the deer stood and did its business. And it took a couple steps and finished here. They must be eating well because they took turns stopping and doing their business here. I didn't catch sight of that buck today, but through tracking through the snow, I'm getting a really good understanding of what animals are active in this area and the areas that they frequent. I've snuck up on many a deer in my day, and I can tell you this buck is very hard to see. I haven't seen him yet. I've seen the 2 does and the 2 yearlings, but usually right after they've seen me or smelled me first. There are very different deer in the world. Don't be fooled by all these deer that you see on the highways, the byways, and fields, near farms, near residential areas. These deer have a different gene pool. These deer have less of a gene that contains the fight or flight response. In fact, they're becoming almost domesticated in some cases. In fact, I've seen deer that were black and white, like cows, almost a domesticated look. And that's scientific proof that the fight or flight gene is disappearing in them. Now, there are many deer still wild and very elusive, and they have that fight or flight gene, as well as many other animals, including bear and other animals. So don't be fooled by these deer and bear and other animals that seem to be almost tame. Animals can be very wild in wilderness areas, and you want to be careful around them. Please be safe. And I hope this video brought you a little bit of information on tracking and wildlife. The intent is not to prove anything. It is an intent to kind of open the eyes a little bit, get people to look at the details of wildlife, get out in the wilderness and enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot.